that the noise lined up with you and where you should have met these two little steps that go down. And so and my first instinct is, oh no, she fell down the steps. But only a half a second later, I'm like, that's not the sound of her falling down the steps. Mm-hmm. It's louder than that would be. And it kind of sounds like water.
Hello.
How you doing?
It's been a day.
Yeah?
Yeah. Vibing and thriving.
You're vibing and thriving. That's key.
Is what I'd like to call it. Except now.
We weren't going to do an episode this week. I mean, we were going to pre-record something. It really kind of got out of hand.
Yeah.
And so we had a plan. We were going to pre-record an episode, and we were going to release it for you on the same day that you're watching this, or at least the same day that this video released. And then we get so caught up with family stuff, and we were doing Christmas things, and it was difficult to get it accomplished. So we're thinking, okay, we'll record something real quick before we leave town. And then we didn't quite get that done. And then we went to leave town, and we thought, you know what, while we're traveling, maybe we'll record something. You know, we'll do a little something silly in the car or during the trip. Yeah. We'll put something together so that we can put something out for everybody. But our plan to leave LA and go to Austin did not go as planned at all.
Right.
It went awry.
Awry. That's a good word.
Our plans have been skewed and are now playing out quite differently.
I like that word, skewed.
Yeah. I like to play with language.
It's a fun word.
You know, do what we can. You know what I've also recently decided is one of my favorite words? This is super random. No, it's not gross or anything. Puncture. Man, I love that word. I don't even know why I like it so much. It's usually bad.
Yeah.
You mostly don't want it, you don't want a punctured lung.
Right.
You don't want a I don't know, what else? An airbag, punctured airbag. That's bad. But I don't know why the word both is fun for me to say, and every time it comes up, I'm into it. Punctured.
That's super random.
I don't know why I like it so much.
Yeah.
It's super weird.
There's a word I don't like.
Which is what?
Epiphany.
Why don't you like that word?
Because it always
You just said it with no trouble whatsoever.
Yeah, but you don't know what went through my head.
You had to just not listen to the whole puncture thing so you could get ready to say epiphany.
You know me so well.
Yeah, that's okay. The puncture thing wasn't that good. So our plans were punctured for this period of our I don't have another P thing.
Plan.
Yeah, but I already said plans.
Okay.
That would have been redundant. No, you're not in trouble. We're just talking it out. Let's start with this. We'll go good news, bad news. All right. So let's talk about Christmas.
Sure.
We weren't going to be able to talk about Christmas on this episode because we were going to record it before it happened. But now
we can
because it happened at your house. So do you want to? I mean, you hosted it. You want to get them into what we did last year? We were with my family,
right?
And we did our weird fractured Christmas where we're in different houses and trying to see everybody and nobody's lived there for very long. But we decided, this year we're going to go to your family's place for Christmas and full on like family house, lots of people. You go ahead. Mm-hmm. Tell them what happened.
So my mom hosted this year, and we are normally the first ones to show up at like family events, but we were actually like one of the last ones to show up this time.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, Rob was excited about that.
I just don't like that that vibe of getting there
like
early.
the first one there.
I don't mind being there early overall. If you're like there third or something and you're talking with the other people who are there, I don't mind getting to a party like early.
Sure.
I don't like to be first. I can't stand the thing where you get there and the only other person there is like the host of the party and they're kind of not totally done. You know the scene in The Office when Michael shows up on purpose to the party when they're still setting it all up?
Yeah.
And she's like, her hair, she's like in a robe. She's like not ready.
Yeah.
And he's not even that close with them.
Right.
That's how I feel. Even if I am close with people, unless they're like my best friend or my mom or my dad, if I'm at a party while it's still turning into a party, no. But we didn't have that problem. We walked into a pop and sitch.
Yeah. But it was really cool because, you know, I think almost all of my family members on my dad's side were there, and it had been 2 years of seeing some of my family members because, you know, pandemic. But
you guys like see each other though.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's one of the things that maybe you took for granted for a long time is that you have one of those families where you guys see each other all the time.
Not only do we see each other all the time, but a lot of my family lives in the LA area.
Right.
And I think that's something I took for granted also.
And when we say family, we're saying, yes, your mom, dad, and brother,
Right.
but also
my uncles,
their siblings, their children, and then even the generation above's kids, so cousins.
Yeah.
It's quite a few people.
Yeah. So we all got together, and there were about, give or take, 20 of us.
That sounds
Yeah?
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty healthy little gathering.
We have a little family photo that Uncle Kyle's in, which is amazing. I love it. He's holding Genie.
Yeah, we brought Uncle Kyle with us.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun.
They said, bring your producer.
Right.
Go ahead. Go ahead. And we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time.
It was a lot of fun. So many presents.
Great food. It was just like that
food.
classic good time with the family. There was no drama. No. There was even like maybe a hint of there might end up maybe kind of being some mild level 2 out of 10 drama that could happen, and that didn't even happen. And so it was literally like just ideal.
Yeah.
It was very Hallmark.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah,
And-
which was super cool for your first time spending
Right.
Christmas with my family, that it was that.
It went well, you felt.
Yeah.
Were you worried it might not go well?
No. I thought maybe. No, I thought maybe.
I've never been more confident of anything in my life.
I thought maybe. I was like, oh man, I don't know if he might feel like some people are boring to talk to, or it'll just kind of be like a mundane, because you're meeting a lot of people for the first time.
Right.
So I thought maybe that might happen, or just you feeling left out, because
There's a healthy mix of people in your family that I've met that are younger and are very good at English, and older folks who are very good at Korean. I never know what the balance is going to be between who I can talk to and who I can't, which is one of the reasons why I'm motivated to learn Korean, at least in a very basic conversational way, because I want to participate in any conversation that'll have me, basically. I think that's clear if you've paid any attention to my work. But also because I just want to be able to communicate with anybody who wants to be able to communicate with me. And if they're in their 60s, 70s, and 80s and haven't learned much English, I'm not expecting that to change.
right.
So it's probably going to have to be me, you know?
Sure.
So I'm into that. But this was such a great mix. And even so far as to say it was mostly young people. You have some really cool cousins who are really awesome to hang out with. So there's always a chance that it could be a lot of the older people in your family whose English is not great. And I don't know. I'm not uncomfortable in that situation, but there is a limit to how
much you can say.
How much I can get out of the evening in general, other than just kind of like to nod and try to figure it out like I'm solving a math equation.
Yeah, but babe, to be honest, I have that problem too. Like,
oh, with the Korean.
Yeah, with the Korean and just like catching up with like, my cousin's parents, because I can understand Korean really well, but I can't speak it that great anymore. And so it kind of becomes like they're asking me all these things, and then I can maybe say some of it in Korean and then try to like mix it with English and hope they get it. But I'm not trying to like do that all day because that takes a while.
No, 100%. And I don't expect to surpass you in my conversation abilities in your language. So if you're not going to be able to hold up full conversations with these people, I don't expect to be able to either.
Yeah.
But I would be able to do what I can do in a lot of languages, like Spanish. I can do this pretty well, where if someone's having a conversation, I'm following most of it, or at the very least, if they get into stuff that I don't understand as much, I'm hearing enough hits of vocabulary words where I'm like, I know what they're talking about, even if I don't know exactly what's being said. Mm-hmm. But Korean is like zero.
Yeah.
It's like flipping a switch, and they might as well just be moving their mouths. I just don't know it. I don't know a single word. And so, I mean, that's not true. I do know single words, but not enough that I would catch anything that anyone would be saying. I'd love to get to that point to where at least I'm like, oh, they're talking about basketball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not totally sure. I imagine they're Lakers fans.
Yeah, but I guess I brought that up.
Enough to put it together.
I brought that up because I've been in this family. I'm Korean. Like, I have the same problem as you, obviously not to that degree, but it's like talking to my cousin's mom who mainly speaks Korean. Like, how much am I going to really have a good or fun conversation when there's like...
But you're not. And that's what I'm saying is the expectation is different too. You come from a family where you guys all like see each other on a regular basis and like get along and like you like talking to each other. Where I'm from, it's usually like you show up at the family stuff. There's one or two people you like. The rest of this is an obligation. And we're like, oh, yeah, hello. How are you? This is like, we have to do this. And
very
okay.
formality.
Yeah, very fun because you're supposed to. And then you go back and you're like, all right, great. And then you go and you get fucked up with the people that you like.
Yeah.
And hang out with them. So there's no expectation to like have a great fun conversation with grandma. Mm-hmm. If you do, cool. But like that's not.
Yeah, so I guess I'm super grateful that I have family both on my mom and dad's side that I actually enjoy catching up with them, seeing them. And I was the same growing up as a kid too. And I just remember my friends being like, "Why are you going to dinner with your family?" And I'm like, because that's what we do. Like, right. But that was such a privilege, and like I know how special that is now.
Yeah.
More than ever.
Yeah, for sure. So we had a a very Hallmark Asian Christmas and it was dope. I had a great time.
I'm so glad, babe.
I really did. And it was efficient, which also that's not a stereotype, but I'm just saying it does line up. It was like we did the food, and then it was like present time, and then it's like everything was kind of like laid out, and then we moved on to the next thing. Even this picture that we had to take with like these 20 people, it got done pretty quickly. If it would have been an hour at my house, it would have been like, no, I'm not sitting next to him. No, and I'm not. No. Get up. You get over here. You know what? We're using my camera because your camera sucks. And it would be a whole thing. And then we'd finally get the right camera up there, and we'd all be in place. And for whatever reason, the person holding the camera has no idea how it works.
Right. Of course.
No, Jonathan was there with the tripod that they wrapped around a chair and put the chair on the coffee table. And he was like, boom.
It was not our first rodeo.
I made a comment that I worry he misheard the context of, and I said it kind of under my breath as a joke, and I was standing kind of there as they were figuring it all out, and I stepped to the side, as did Kyle and you and a couple other people, and I said kind of to you, I was like, what's that expression about too many cooks?
Yeah.
What I meant was, I'm getting out of this. And Jonathan, who was kind of running she was one of these cooks I was referencing. he kind of looks over his shoulder. He goes, how does that one go? And I was like, no, I didn't mean you guys are chaotic. I meant you guys are crushing it. I'm not trying to be the extra cook in this kitchen. I'm going to step out and you just let me know where to stand.
Sure.
Because you guys are like nailing this, very complicated. And it's like in 2 languages that this is happening. And they just knocked it out. It was very good. I think a lot of people felt that moment was hectic, but I was like, I have been in far worse group photos that I was like, oh my God.
But of course, it's my dad who's like, let's do presents. Oh, but before we do that, let's take this huge group family photo.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was great. Kyle, did you have fun?
I had a lot of fun. It was nice.
Good.
That's good. Yeah, I think we enjoyed our Christmas. We came back here, had some leftovers, called it an early evening because we were supposed to get up early this morning for our flight to fly to Texas.
Right.
Good job.
So we're talking about this morning.
Yeah. So we got up at 6.
Yeah.
We got up at 6 o'clock to get on this flight that was supposed to leave at like 9:20. We had trouble getting a lift. It was limited availability. Uncle Kyle functions on a schedule where the time we were leaving was in between his 2 REM cycles. He gets his first cycle that ends around, if he's lucky, 7 a.m.
Yeah.
But then he's got 4 more hours of sleep to get, So it's like for what we might consider like the 1-2 a.m. period. For Kyle, that's 7 in the morning. So it's not an ideal time for him to take us. Otherwise, of course, we would have asked him, but that's ridiculous. If you asked me to take you at 2 in the morning, I would say no. So I'm trying to get a lift. There's not a lot of lifts. Waited I want to say 15 minutes with a little spinny circle trying to just get a lift.
Which is not our first time having this problem.
No, and I tried to schedule it earlier. The app didn't let me schedule it, blah, blah, blah. Not interesting. As Brett Ernst always say, long story, boring. So we end up getting the lift to the airport. We do get it, and we're doing the math to where if this guy cooks it, we're going to get there with just enough time to kind of get through everything if it's not insane.
Right, and we had 2 checked bags.
We had 2 checked bags to drop, and keep in mind we're planning to drive back. So this is all the going to LAX thing. It's just like a one-time thing. We just have to do it and get through it and send these fucking bags so we don't even have to bring back. We're going to drive them back. And before we can even get out the door, however, we live in a building that has a big glass front door. So in we have a foyer and it's an apartment building, and the actual literal put your key in the door, open your front door, the first door is solid glass. It has a little metal panel at the top and the bottom and a little thing where you would put in your keys, but everything else is literally a giant pane of glass, like a window. Mm-hmm. It has already been broken before because somebody threw something at it, allegedly, whatever, over the summer.
Right.
It broke. It took them a very long time to get it fixed.
Yeah, like over 2 months, I would say.
Because they had to special order the sheet of glass or something, right? Or something like that. So we're leaving this morning. All of this kind of frustration to get the lift, but he finally shows up, and I'm feeling kind of uneasy, and so I'm like using the bathroom, trying to I get very nervous before I travel that I'm with my bladder, and so I'm like keep going to the bathroom, but I found all right, I'm good. and we go to leave. And I'm going to tell it from my experience because yours is better and should come second.
Okay.
We go out this front door. We take both of the suitcases. She goes out the door in front of me. We're standing in the hall. I go to lock the door and I go ahead. She leaves, and right next to our door, to our apartment, is the door to the foyer where this glass door is. So I'm like, go ahead. She goes through that door, and I turn back to lock the door, and I hear the strangest noise coming from where you are. And the timing is such that the noise lined up with you and where you should have met these two little steps that go down. And so and my first instinct is, oh no, she fell down the steps. But only a half a second later, I'm like, that's not the sound of her falling down the steps. Mm-hmm. It's louder than that would be. And it kind of sounds like water. It was so odd. I couldn't feel.
So weird.
Or like someone had thrown maybe a box of 10,000 spoons down a staircase or something. I was like, what the fuck? What? And it was so loud and I was so scared for you. I rush over to you only to find what?
So interesting hearing it from your side, because in my mind, everything happened so quickly. I don't even remember exactly if I said the words, oh my God, like really loud, because I knew you were like just right behind me. But I was also like really shocked because I was staring at the foyer door, the front door, and I saw like things, like the door didn't look good. Like it looked cracked, but it was still intact. Like it didn't fall down yet. And so I was looking at the door and I was like, in my head, I was like, oh no, this is happening again. And then I had the luggage with me. I closed that door, behind me. And I think the force of that door made the front door completely shatter. It was as if I was in a movie scene and I'm just like trying to get through this door, and the timing of it just went and just like fell. And it made a loud noise because the metal part where you put the key in, that fell, and that's not light.
And there are two metal like pieces that are the top and bottom of the door. Like it does have a bit of a frame to it. So those fell on the ground. What was crazy to me was how utterly shattered it was. And hopefully we can show a picture here. But it was it was like out of a movie.
Yeah.
Where if someone had a superpower where they just turned something, like disintegrated something. It looks like Thanos touched the door and it went.
Yes.
Like you had a fucking infinity stone and he just went.
Like in the moment.
Yeah. It looked so weird.
Now when I think about it, I'm like, man, I wish I had footage of it because it's so.
Oh, it would have been the coolest thing to see in like slow motion if we had captured it in like.
But I was not in a state of mind to do that.
Of course not.
Not only that, but I don't even remember the words I said.
It was a quarter second between you leaving my side and then the noise happened right after.
Yeah, and so now I'm like in shock. He comes out and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm just trying to like get the words out to like look at the door because I'm sure he heard a weird noise as I just heard from you. And I didn't know how to like verbally be like, so I think I just pointed. I don't totally remember.
Yeah, I looked to you first and then I looked over and I just couldn't stop saying, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I think I said it like 8 times. I was like, the fuck? Like,
and
what
then, and then I
fuck?
saw, because now our door is broken, so I could see outside, and our Lyft driver was here.
Right.
And now I'm like, I don't know what to do. And you're like, just walk over the glass. It was very symbolic, like.
I wasn't trying to be metaphorical. I was just saying, like, you have shoes on. It's just glass. Be careful. Don't fall on it. I'll hold your hand, like, but it's not ice. Like, you know, you're not gonna fall. Just be careful and step over the glass.
I had like a huge luggage, and you're like,
we had to catch the flight. We were already late, so I was like, this is some crazy shit, and I would love to deal with this with you right now, but what, are you gonna glue the fucking door back together? Like, we gotta catch the fucking lift.
Yeah, and I was like still in shock mode, and then I like felt tears, and I was like, I'm not crying because I'm scared or sad.
I felt you just kind of that deer in headlights, like Frozen, and I was just trying to give you that, like, you're not crazy. This is weird. What, like, you heard me say what the fuck, but we have to go despite the weirdness. And I was impressed with your ability to kind of swallow your frozen state and move forward.
Thank you.
So good for you on that. So that was pretty crazy. That was like a really crazy way to start
the morning.
The morning.
And it was at 7 a.m.
Right. But we did get in the lift. And not only did we get in this lift, we got a great Lyft driver, super sweet guy, very nice car. He went 85 in the express lane the whole way, made up some time.
Yeah.
We had, of course, we've been checking the flight because of all the cancellations that have been happening because of COVID. And American and some other airlines have kind of said broadly, we're going to cancel a bunch of these flights. But we were flying Spirit. And we were like, they haven't made any announcements. Like, I haven't heard anything. We haven't gotten any emails, you know. And Spirit, love them or hate them, however you feel about it. I'm a fan of them. But they're the ones that during the pandemic, they didn't even stop fully booking the flights.
Right.
American was like, we're only going to half book the flight. We'll take the hit. Everyone sits a seat apart and shit like that. No middle seats.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, that was cool.
Spirit didn't care.
But Spirit didn't give a fuck. They were like, we're trying to make our money because this is fucked up.
If anything, they probably made, I don't know if this is true, but maybe they made more money because they decided to
maybe
go
they're
that
also
way.
the discount airlines, so they make less money overall. I don't know what their whole business model is. It's weird. But generally it works out for me price-wise.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned it before. I'll do a whole thing maybe one day. If you go Spirit and you get the big seat in the front, it's fucking great. It's like the way to travel if you can do it. It's like affordable first class, but without any of the amenities, which I care nothing about. So with that being said, we had been checking the flight, but we weren't really concerned about it. People had even asked us like, oh, were you worried about flying?
Right.
Because the things have been canceled and the cases are out and all this. And we're like, well, you know, we're vaxxed and we're safe and we're wearing masks and we've got these plans. We've got a really strict kind of, we're going to go here and do these things and be safe. And we're flying Spirit. They're pretty chill. And we checked the status of the flight.
Three quarters.
We get 3/4 of the way, maybe even farther than that. It was 3/4 of the way if you're talking about time. But if you're talking about distance, we were 95% of the way. We were at the airport.
Like just sitting in the traffic.
Yeah,
and
because we were sitting in it, you know, what are you doing in the back of a Lyft when you get to the airport and it's traffic? You're on your fucking phone. You're just like looking at stuff. And of course, I check my boarding pass, my Spirit app. And the little thing that says on time has changed from green to red and it says canceled. And I'm like, what the wait, no.
Yeah.
And then I start looking around because I'm like, that wouldn't be the first place it would show up, right?
We would get an email.
A text, or at the very least, a notification from the app of like, hey, by the way, the status of the flight changed.
They canceled the flight less than 2 hours.
Yeah.
Before we're supposed to take off.
You know, like when they recommend you be at the airport, right. Which means that they know that everybody was already there.
Right.
So now, after we've had this terribly bad omen of the shattered door, we're at the airport with this super nice guy, and I'm like, I don't want to get out of this car. And what is the plan here? We start going through it. We're like, do we get out? We go up to the Spirit desk. We get in the line that has 150 other people who are pissed in the line ahead of us, plus all the people whose flight are not canceled and they're trying to drop off their luggage and shit like that. That's the same line. And so I'm like, man, this is a nightmare. And if anybody who's watching this doesn't live in LA, which I happen to know the people who watch this mostly aren't in LA, LAX has gone through a number of changes to try to solve this Uber Lyft problem, where when we went from taxis to Uber and Lyft, the traffic problem at LAX got way worse. People weren't carpooling. Everybody's calling their own car. We've had this problem all over the country with what do we do about this, ride share issue? Do they go to departures? Do they, all that? That was the rule for a while, was you had to go upstairs.
Right.
A while ago, they switched to this system that is in place in some other airports as well, where you have to take a fucking shuttle to a separate parking lot and get picked up from there. That alone, getting to that parking lot is not the easiest thing. You can walk there, but it's far. But the shuttles are so it's kind of like a roll of the dice. It's bad either way. And once you get there, you are in line. There are a lot of people. And we just found out that there's this cancellation plus the other cancellations. So my ADD brain is in the car going like, don't get out of the car. Don't get out of the fucking car. We'll never get back in. We're gonna be at the counter for 2 hours. Then we'll be in the lift line for 3 hours and all this stuff, getting a shuttle and a thing to another thing. And Jesus Christ. And I was like, I don't take Lyft enough, so I don't realize that they've changed it. I didn't know you can just change the destination while you're in it. I've never done that. It just hasn't come up for me. So I didn't even know you could do that. I thought maybe do I have to like get out and then be like, hello, like it's me again. I didn't know how it worked. And the guy's like, no, do whatever you want. He's like, just go in there and change the destination. You can add a stop or you can customize the trip. And I was like, oh, that's, you learn things every day. I had no idea. You don't know it till you need it. But I go in there and just reroute whatever ourselves back to our fucking address. Spend $100 fucking to take a lift to and from the worst place in Los Angeles.
Right.
So that was a fun way to spend the day after Christmas. What do you guys do? You sleep in? No, we got up really early and just took a fun ride to and from LAX. It was great. It was nice. The best part was the middle part where we were stuck going around the circle at a half a snail's pace.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were no flights really that we could get until Thursday.
And it was already difficult enough getting this
It was a
flight.
tough day to book, right?
And we booked this flight like weeks ago. And so for whatever reason, babe, we weren't meant to fly to Austin today.
Apparently not. And now we don't know if we're going to be able to go at all, which means it's going to probably put a delay on, a number of things that we have planned of going to pick up things I have there and gear for the show.
Yeah.
I mean, we're shooting this on your phone. That's not the long-term plan.
Right. But the craziest thing is this is my second time trying to go to Austin by plane and just not making it.
Yeah, that's true. It just didn't happen.
Yeah. So weird.
But, we're here. So now we're going to make the best of it. So we decided to record an episode for everybody because we can and we will. And and we shall and we have. Yeah, so I don't know. I think this is one of those things too where I know a lot of people struggle with this. So this is not one of those like, no, people are struggling this time of year. This is not that, which that's great, but this is not that. I will say, though, I think that one of the things that works for me, and if there's anything to take away from this, I am deeply empowered by experiences I have where I am forced to just fucking accept a new thing. Mm-hmm. Like, that is so hard for people. So many people struggle. They're put into a new circumstance. Something changes for them, and they just can't get used to it.
Yeah.
And I kind of like weirdly, I don't know, like masochistically, like love the pain of like, God, I have to just, all right, now this. All right, this now. Great. Nope, it's great. I get kind of passive aggressive in my own head about it.
I will say that by being with you, I've become a lot better at that.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I used to be like, oh my gosh, I'm such a planner.
Right.
And so when things don't go according to my plan, it feels like the world has ended. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I plan all this out and none of this is happening now.
Right.
So I wasted my time planning this thing. But being with someone like you, like I just had to learn like going with the flow and accepting when things are out of your control. Like sometimes things just don't go the way you think.
Well, and when you have a situation that keeps showing up, you just have to find a way to embrace it. Like I just feel like, I don't know if it's healthy or not. Like I feel like John Bender in The Breakfast Club, where he just keeps getting more detention. And so he's like, good, give me more of it. No, yeah, I want to. I can't wait. I'll spend the rest of my life in here. I love it. That's like how my brain chooses to deal with change, especially forced change, or like even when the pandemic happened and like quarantine really set in. It was like, good. I wanted to. You know what I mean? Perfect. And so today when Lord Baby Jesus was like, you're not going to Austin. I was like, you know what? Good. Watch me sleep the rest of the day. We just napped until now. That was our solution.
Yeah, and we also
We had to
decided
get these coffees so we could do this fucking episode.
But we decided to continue Christmas in our household because we can, and Christmas makes us happy.
Yeah, so today is more Christmas. Yesterday was Merry Christmas, and then today is Maury Christmas, which is weird because it kind of sounds like Christmas just for your weird uncle, Maury, but I don't know, whatever. Maury Christmas, everybody. You got anything else? I mean, we don't need to do like a full episode for these cats. We weren't supposed to do anything for them. This is all just bonus content right now.
Bonus content.
Fucking welcome.
Can you do a holiday special for a podcast that is already a holiday podcast?
This is our holiday episode?
Yeah.
Maybe. It's possible. Holiday. No, this is our last episode of Rob and Candy's holiday podcast because after this, it won't be the holidays anymore. And
I guess my last remark is I miss Genie.
Yeah. We left Genie at her parents' house for the trip, and she's still there. We haven't gone to get her yet. She don't know nothing. I'm going to sneeze if we don't cut soon.